Prince Philip was involved in a crash near the Sandringham Estate on Thursday. The Duke of Edinburgh was driving a Land Rover and collided with a Kia, in which 2 women and a 9-month-old baby was travelling in. The Duke of Edinburgh was not injured in the collision, but the 2 women were taken to hospital. 1. The 28-year-old driver suffered cuts to her knee while the other has a broken wrist. The baby was not injured in the crash. Even though the drivers and passengers escaped without serious injuries, the crash has sparked the debate whether the Duke should still be driving at the age of 97. He has always wanted to maintain his independence and has continued to drive despite his age. Midrive Asher Ismail, CEO of www.com said, "We're all glad to hear that the Duke of Edinburgh made it out of his crash okay, but it does raise the question about how old is too old to be driving. At the age of 97, your reaction times are slower, your eyesight isn't as good as it used to be, and therefore you could potentially be a risk to yourself and others on the road." Under UK law, there is no legal limit on driving ages in the UK, and motorists do not have to take a test again when they reach a certain age. By law, you have to renew your license when you reach the age of 70 and then every 3 years after that. However, once you reach 70, you have to renew your license. A license is only renewed if the minimum eyesight requirement is met and there is no other reason to prevent a person from driving. All drivers must know how old they are and must notify the DVLA of the onset or worsening of a medical condition which may affect their ability to drive. Older drivers can have their driving assessed through an experienced driver assessment with the Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents, which costs £35. Pete Williams of the RAC said, "I think the majority of older drivers are quite good at restricting and limiting their own driving when they find certain circumstances more difficult. Many people will not drive at night, perhaps just stick to local roads. The evidence isn't there that older drivers are any greater risk." Edmund King, president of the AA, said younger drivers are more at risk than older drivers. He said, "We wish the Duke of Edinburgh well." Many commentators use high-profile car crashes involving elderly drivers to call for bans or restrictions on older drivers. If driving restrictions based on age and safety were introduced, we would be more likely to restrict young drivers rather than older drivers. Young, predominantly male, drivers are much more likely to crash within 6 months of passing their test than older drivers within 6 months of hanging up their keys. Older drivers often self-restrict their driving by not driving at night and only driving on familiar roads.